as I see it change. It's kind of tough for me. I'm 5'2" and I'm behind a screen that's a little bit taller than me, I think. So we'll go ahead and see where we are. There we go. Thank you, everyone. Yes.
Do you want to sit at a table and talk with your back this way so everybody can hear you?
I think I'm okay.
You can't hear you.
Okay, I can't be heard.
You want a mic? Let me give you a mic.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna get the mic.
Mayor. Got right.
Somebody, Dana, thank you. All right, thank you for being here this afternoon. I guess I need to learn how to turn on a mic. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the time and attention that you've given to us today. We really appreciate it. This is our first legislative briefing for the new delegation, and for all of you that have taken these positions and are going to help us with the work that needs to be done for our community, I want to say thank you very much. And so welcome. And I want to say that we're really glad to have the General Assembly being here today for thinking about all of the things that you do in Raleigh, even for our city, region, and our state. The city really wants to develop a relationship with our groups of people that help us advance our interests. And so I want to say to everyone, thank you for your time and your attention and what you're going to do. So we've got some themes that we want to talk about today. You know, we all have ideas of what we can do to make our community, our residents, happier, safer, and all of those kinds of activities. And so we wanted to do this in a way that engages all of our delegation, engages our city council, and engages our residents. We're working across jurisdiction, you know that. You can know that we have gotten opportunities to work with the towns to the north and the towns to the south, as well as many other groups that we have in our community that work with us. And we're preparing for growth and community safety, all of these things that we've been working on for quite some time. So I know that most of you know how important transportation is. And it's a regional issue. I think I called a lot of you and I said, when we start talking about transportation, we're not talking about Charlotte. We're talking about our region and what's necessary for our growth and how we do this. And so I hope that every one of you has some attention or some idea about how to move this forward so that we can support the people that need jobs, people that need a way to get to work so that they can be successful in their own family lives. So I want to say it has never been more important right now for us. We have worked for a number of years trying to make sure that we can build a city that you can see the growth in, but also the ability that growth could give us a way to make sure that people would thrive. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get people to work, to get them to their jobs, to be able to actually be a part of our community. And so that's what we're here. We're looking forward to that topic, but we're also looking forward to the other topics that we have that meld into that. And so today I want to say thank you. And I'd like to actually bring on to our first speaker of the evening, and that is Senator Waddell. If you would join us, we're really glad to see that you have been chosen to lead the delegation, and so thank you for taking the time to be here today.
I want to thank the mayor for that wonderful introduction. And I want to thank all of you who are here today as we talk about transportation, as we talk about working together and moving forward. We know how important it is in Raleigh when we address the needs of our communities, when we think about the citizens and our constituents who are in these areas. We're here to listen, we're here to move forward, and we are here to serve. You elected us to serve you, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to be open with our ears, with our eyes, and do the research that's necessary so that we can move forward and so that we can work together and so that we can listen and we can take on the agenda that you have assigned us to do. We always listen, we're productive, and we want to always be able and willing to serve. I want to thank you for all that you do, because we're in this together. It's not an I, not a we. It's all of us working for the citizens. And the mayor just mentioned about getting people to work and moving forward with the small towns. She also mentioned about how important transportation plays when people can get to work and get out of their cars, and when they can really enjoy the things that you've planned so that things are peaceful and so that things move smoothly. This is not the really beginning. We've been working on this some time, and some of you have been working more diligently and longer than others. So we're continuing to work to make things better, and really the best is yet to come.
Thank you very much, Senator. And now I have the great honor of introducing Vicki Sawyer, who has worked with us for a number of years. It feels like now, maybe it's just 24 months or whatever, but it feels like a few years. So, Senator, please, remarks.
Thank you. I often joke that a politician usually runs to a microphone. I'm actually one that runs away from them. So I appreciate being here, and thank you for not directly throwing arrows into my back as a lone Republican in the Senate for Mecklenburg County. I appreciate being here, but I also want you guys to know that I'm Charlotte through and through. I mean, 1993, I left my home in Davidson County to be a UNC Charlotte graduate with a degree in special needs and teaching, and I have stayed in the Charlotte region ever since. And as Mayor Lyles knows, transportation is very important to me, and as my job that the folks in northern Mecklenburg and Iredell County have elected me to do is to help transportation networks not only in our own district but also statewide. And I hope you'll see that approach as we move forward through this next upcoming. I'm excited. I mean, you know what? Let's try it. Either we win or we lose, right? Let's just give it a shot. I'm excited to get to know each and every one of you more. My door is always open, but I'm only open for conversation that moves us to a certain point together. Destructive behavior is something that I cannot tolerate, and so I just wanted to make sure that everyone know that I will collaborate and work with each and every one of you as we work together, but will not work apart. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to both of you for the way that you allow us to be out here thinking about what we can all do to make this place a better place for everyone. So I will tell you now, we're going to have a few updates that we want to provide with you around our legislative agenda. And so most of you know Dana. He's been walking the halls of the legislative building for a very long time, and he's going to lead us in a discussion around the city of Charlotte's, I think what we would call our legislative agenda. Dana?
Thank you, everybody. It's really nice to be here today. In addition to myself, Ed McKinney from our City Manager's Office will be making the presentation, the part that addresses the mobility issue. And Ed has a lot of experience in that field, and so I'm really glad he's here to do that. But one thing I'd like to bring up to you first is an update of all the efforts that the city and the staff put in to helping out Western North Carolina in the wake of Hurricane Helene. There were quite a few resources that were deployed from Charlotte Fire, from Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, Charlotte Water, to help out with the recovery efforts and also with the rescue efforts as well. And in fact, in a few weeks, on the 26th through the 29th, the Charlotte City Council will be holding its annual strategy session in Asheville to help support the area. They were very, very happy that the City Council will be coming up there. And I heard all about it last month at the Metropolitan Mayors Association meeting, and just heard it from the mayor and from others who were in the room from Asheville. They were just very, very pleased about that.
Dana, before you go to the next one, I failed in my MC role to have everyone so that we all know each other, to have everyone introduce themselves. And so I know that we have just heard from Senator Waddell and Senator Sawyer, but I'd like to go ahead and have us go around each table and make sure that we have our names and people know who we are.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Luana Mayfield. I serve here on Charlotte City Council as an at-large member.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Becky Carney, representative. I've been in the House and entering my 12th term. I know you're wondering what's wrong with her. But anyway, and I feel like I'm at home. Started county commission out here 28 years ago. So welcome and thank you for having us.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Representative Mary Belk, and I represent District 88. And I am so glad that Joyce Waddell is our new delegation chair. And I'm not laughing because I'm happy it's over, but I'm very happy that she has taken over and is going to do a great job for us. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Julia Greenfield, and I am representative for House District 100. And this will be my first term in the legislature, and I'm looking forward to working with each of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Malcolm Graham, a member of the Charlotte City Council and a former North Carolina State Senator for about 10 years. I serve as a member of the city's Transportation Committee and chair the city's Jobs and Economic Development Committee.
Good morning. I'm State Representative Tricia Cotham. In my 7th term, I served Mint Hill, Matthews, and a part of South Charlotte. And our wonderful Senator Graham here was our delegation leader as well, and he was phenomenal during those tough times. Glad to be with you all. Thank you for having us.
Aisha Dew, newly elected, first term. I guess that's about 70-something hours. And House District 107, so right in the center of the county.
Hello, everyone. Glad you're here. James Mitchell, Charlotte City Council.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb Tedros, representing Senate District 41. This is my first term. A lot of familiar faces from when I interned here 5 years ago.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Madam Mayor, City Council, and the work of our council staff. Thank you for all your service. My name is Mushtaba Muhammad. I serve the people of Nottingham County 38 Senate.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Representative Jordan Lopez, serving in my first term representing House District 112, which is the East Charlotte area. Looking forward to working with each of you, and thank you for having us, Mayor Lyles.
Hi, everyone. Beth Helfrich, serving District 98, which is the north end of the county. I say if you just lop off from exit 23 and up, that's my turf. So I'm really excited to be here and working with all of you in the upcoming biennium. It's going to be an exciting 2 years.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Representative Carolyn Logan. I represent District 101, Northwest Mecklenburg County. And I'd like to say thank you to Charlotte for what you're doing for Western North Carolina. As you know, Asheville is my home. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Stephen G. I serve House District 99, University, Big Valley, Bat Creek area. And I'm looking forward to working for you on your agenda.
Good afternoon. I'm Woodson Bradley, newly elected freshman North Carolina Senator, District 42, which is Mint Hill, Matthews, all of Providence, Valentine, South Charlotte, South Park, half of Myers Park, and half of Eastover. So it's a doozy, but I'm really excited to be here.
Well, welcome, Senator Bradley.
Thanks.
I'm Dimple Ajmera, Charlotte City Councilwoman at large. I chair the Budget, Governance, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. And our committee was so proud of the work that we have done to deliver the legislative agenda. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is DeAndrea Salvador, proudly serving in Senate District 39, which is right to the west of Senator Bradley, so Southwest Mecklenburg and Charlotte area, and thank you so much for having us here today.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ed Driggs. I am a Charlotte City Council member for District 7, which is the south of Valentine area between Matthews and Pineville. I chair the Transportation Planning and Development Committee, which means that a lot of what we're going to talk about here is very relevant. I'm also a member of Mr. Graham's Jobs and Economic Development Committee, and a former two-time chair of our Intergovernmental Relations Committee, which means I've spent quite a lot of time in the past walking the halls of the General Assembly, and our relationship with Raleigh is of particular importance to me. Very, very pleased to be here today. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Introduce yourself. Hey, what are we saying?
Your name and who you are.
Okay. Hey, y'all. I'm Marjorie Molina. I have been on council. This is my second term. I represent the East Side, District 5, and nice to meet you.
Well done. Good job.
Hi, I'm Laura Budd. I represent House District 103, which now consists of a few streets in Matthews, Valentine, Pineville, South Mecklenburg, and a few streets in South Charlotte, so much like Senator Bradley. Pick your poison.
Good afternoon. My name is Victoria Watlington. I see many familiar faces. Hello again, friends. I serve on Charlotte City Council at large, as well as the chair of the Housing, Safety, and Community Committee, and have the pleasure of serving under Mr. Driggs on the Transportation and Planning Committee.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tijuana Brown. It's an honor and privilege to serve Charlotte City Council District 3. Unapologetically, thank you.
Tarek Kari, City Council District 6.
All right. Did we miss anyone? Feel free to stand up if you were missed so that we can make sure that we document this wonderful occasion. So with that, we will now go to the staff review of our legislative agenda.
Hello again. Let's go ahead and get into our legislative agenda. We do have, just so you know, we are looking at issues that address our safe communities vision, addresses being prepared for growth, but also we will have an update on a breaking topic that you all have been dealing with for the last in the last part of the 24 General Assembly. First thing, update. A couple years ago, legislation went through that enabled cities, all cities, to establish civilian crash investigation programs without having sworn officers. Okay. I think we need more volume here. Is Amanda, can you help out with this? I think if I speak closer to the microphone, y'all maybe, that's better. I'll just have to lean over. I'll have to hunch over. I'm good. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Yeah, 2 years ago, the Civilian Crash Investigation Program legislation passed. And like a lot of other police departments around the state, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police got on the job and started training the investigators. And that program just launched. And it's a good idea that it just launched because these stats are really pretty stunning to me. Over the last 3 years, 71% of all car crashes are minor. And these are the type of crashes that the civilian investigators can handle. And sworn officers were working about 40,000 hours foreign resources we can put onto more pressing matters. And in our legislative agenda for this year under public safety, there is an issue that the council feels very strongly about that needs to be addressed, and that is the issue of all the arcade fish games and parlors, betting parlors that are springing up around the city. In fact, this is happening all around the state. And my understanding is that a member of the House Republican leadership is going to be taking the charge this year to try to get legislation through. And what we wanted to do was to show our support for addressing that issue, and especially the planning and zoning issues. That is where a lot of our issues come in. Now there are issues with the crime that does occur, but when these arcade fish game parlors are located in certain areas, they tend to be a drag on those communities. A lot of other businesses do not want to go into areas with these types of parlors. So those are issues that we're looking at. You also do have the crime issues that are inherent in these places. So we are very glad that the General Assembly is going to be taking that up again this session. And we'll be looking forward to working with the sponsors to help try to move legislation along. The next issue is one that I think all of us have seen in past years, and this has to do with the amount of support that's provided to the local court system in the appropriations process. We have heard a lot of different things from members of the court system, especially the district attorney, talking about the number of prosecutors that they are low in the pay rates that they are provided. So the city is joining business and other community interest in supporting the local court system. And let's shift to preparing for growth. One of the best things that happened this past year, in my estimation, was the opening of a second phase of the Concourse A expansion at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Another 10 gates have opened up. That was a $231 million project. And there were North Carolina Airport Improvement Program funds that the airport received that were committed for that project. So that's a program that was established several years ago that the airport receives about $30 million, $35 million each year from that. And what this allows us to do is increase capacity. We can bring in more flights, including more flights to other North Carolina cities. So that's a good thing for not just the airport, but for the entire state. And our legislative agenda related to aviation is to continue supporting this program, the North Carolina Airport Improvement Program. Then moving on to another big issue that we all take advantage of is the Stowe Regional Water Resource Facility. This is a new plant that is being built under construction right now on the west side of the county along the Catawba River. It's going to consolidate the wastewater treatment for the towns of Mount Holly and Belmont, and also for a growing portion of Mecklenburg County. And the commissioning is expected to be completed in 2026. And it's not, I think I said this last year, but it's not usual that I can get up here and talk great about a wastewater treatment plant. So, and on the other side, on the Charlotte Water side, another issue that they're working on that you all need to be aware of, that we're taking very, very seriously, is the notice of intent from Charlotte Water to increase the amount of water that's diverted from the Catawba River Basin to the Rocky River Basin. The Rocky River Basin is essentially the eastern third of Mecklenburg County, roughly, and includes not just parts of the city of Charlotte, but includes parts of the towns of Matthews and Mint Hill, Huntersville, Cornelius, and Davidson. There is not a natural source of water or enough water that goes through that basin in order to tap into it to provide the water that area needs to continue growing. But in state law, if you want to move water from one basin to another, you have to file what's called, you have to apply for a interbasin transfer certificate. And Charlotte Water did that about 1 year ago. And other systems around the state are doing likewise, just like the town of Mooresville is. But the rub is that some of the localities in our region are opposing it because they feel like it's going to be taking water from what's available for them. And one thing about the process that's set out in state law that we are following is that we had to file the notice of intent to get the IBT before having the required studies completed. And those studies are ongoing right now. There will be an environmental impact statement. There will be a estimation of what the safe yield is from the Catawba River. in order to continue providing water to others, not just upstream, but also downstream, and also impacts upon the environment and so forth. So you may hear some rumblings from members of the General Assembly up in the other areas, like in the Catawba, Caldwell, Burke counties, and so forth. And right now, we don't have the answers to a lot of their questions because those are under study. But I do want you to know that we do have resources that Charlotte Water has committed, and they have subcontracted with people who know the local landscape up in these areas. And they are meeting with local officials up there. And also we'll be utilizing our state lobbying resources for that work as well, especially with the General Assembly. So we are taking this very seriously. Again, we are very cognizant of the fact that Charlotte Water provides water not just to only the city of Charlotte, but to the other parts of Mecklenburg County. We take that responsibility very, very seriously. So there will probably be more to come. There's no legislation that we're asking for, but in the event other legislation is filed that would impact it, we will be in touch with you. So more to come on that one. And moving on to the next issue under growing communities is an emerging topic that has to do with planning. This has to do with the downzoning clause that was part of Senate Bill 382. Since the legislation was passed, or since it was introduced and then ultimately passed, cities, counties, and towns around the state have been examining what the impacts are of this legislation. And I will be really honest with you, is that the impacts are being looked at, but there's a lot of understanding that has to take place. There's a lot of work going on among our planning directors and our attorneys around the state to come to an understanding of what impacts this bill actually has. But we do see some issues coming forward as we try to go through the process of planning for our community. You could have some impacts on the ability to further limit any uses like the fish game arcades, like short-term rentals, and any reduction in density for certain areas. And also looking at the non-conforming structures and so forth. So we're looking to collaborate on any language modifications that retain for us the ability to pursue the solutions that we need to respond to the community. And we have our planning director, Allison Craig, back there in case there are any additional questions about this later on. And then moving to the big topic that's on everybody's mind is mobility. And for that, I'd like to have Ed McKinney come up to present.
Thank you, Dana. Again, Ed McKinney with the Charlotte City Manager's Office, and certainly this is a great opportunity to provide an overview of essentially multi-years of work and collaboration, but certainly a lot of big events and conclusions that have happened in the last year to get us forward. So what I really want to do is highlight the uniqueness of the efforts and the success that we've had in the conversations over this past year, and there's a couple key points. One is this is a result of a multi-year regional collaboration. There's been a lot of work, again, over multiple years, but certainly some intense work that has happened this past year with the managers of the city, the county, and the towns to really dive into this strategy. A couple of really key big milestones that happened as part of that work is the update of the MTC's interlocal agreement, sort of reestablishing that working relationship. A lot of work. It was a big lift to get that adopted and supported by the communities. And then finally, this work is to where we stand today around the draft legislation. So that collaboration to set really a funding strategy to move us forward. And it was really important to get that support across the county, and successful in getting the majority of our jurisdictions to support that publicly this past fall. Secondly, this is unique in its approach from a funding strategy, so it's multimodal, and I'll talk about the reasons for that in a couple of different ways, and I'll also reference some success that we've seen around the country in successful sales tax referendums. It's multimodal, so it touches roads, it touches our bus system, and it touches our rail system. Roads certainly is important because of the needs that we have across the county and the city and the town. So we all know that growth is pushing our infrastructure in a way that is requiring us to think differently about how we invest. And that's across things like safety, that across things like sidewalks, street lighting, certainly congestion mitigation, but it's really across the board, some of the basic needs we need in our roadway network. Dedicating bus funding is also a really important part of this strategy. So CATS has been working on their better bus system, the Envision My Ride. All of that is leading to a really innovative and forward-thinking approach about how we invest in our bus system. I'll talk a little bit more in detail, but that's frequency, that's amenities, that's microtransit, some really unique things that we're seeing across the country that we think we can invest and apply here in our city with the right funding strategy. And then certainly rail, and that's giving us the ability to move on the priorities of our 2030 transit system plan, but again, do it in the balance of our multimodal approach. Lastly, and this is really unique across the country, it takes that road funding and empowers all the local jurisdictions, including the city, to utilize those funds in a way that reflects the needs and priorities they have individually. We have, I think, certainly similar needs across the county, but every city, every town has their unique situation, unique scale, and unique context. So this is a unique way to essentially empower our local jurisdictions with this funding strategy to address the needs that they have in each of their jurisdictions. Now let me go into the detail. There's a lot here to unpack on this slide, and certainly a lot of these details we've discussed before. But let me highlight again a few things. First is the scale. So it's really important to sort of pause on that number at the top, 19.4 billion. That is one of the biggest efforts that we will see across the country in the next several years. So we should take that pause for a moment and realize that opportunity. We are one of the fastest growing cities in the country, in the region, and having this source of funding is really a way to continue for us to be successful and to address the transportation infrastructure we have, the needs we have over the next 30 years. Again, it is multimodal, so I want to talk a little bit about the details of that. It defines 60% of this funding for roads and bus investment. And again, that's across the needs we have for our safety, our sidewalks, our street lighting, congestion mitigation, expansion of our roadway system. And again, it includes a bus investment on that road network. That road network is the foundation of a good transit plan, and the vision that we have for our bus system builds upon that foundation. A key part of that foundation in the bus system is microtransit. I want to emphasize that the funding that you see on this slide is essentially set up to implement the vision that CATS has put forward in their Better Bus System. Frequency, additional frequency on our high priority corridors, amenities, physical amenities to make our bus stops and our transit stations essentially dignified for our transit users. As we all know, we've got many bus stops across our system that simply aren't up to the dignity that our transit riders deserve. This gives us the funding to do it. And then microtransit, we're about to implement, as I think many of you know, the microtransit in the northern towns. This is first, last mile. This is door-to-door service, and this is the ability to put that service across the county in a way that we've never done before, putting it in places that don't have and are almost impossible to serve from a typical transit standpoint. This will give us coverage in a way that we've never seen before. It requires certainly a scale of thinking that this funding will give us the ability to do. And then certainly 40% of this funding is dedicated to rail. That gives us the ability to first and foremost implement the red line, but then work to prioritize our other corridors and invest in them given that scale of funding opportunity. Last part of this slide talks about the federal funding dollars that we can leverage. Again, that $19.4 billion gives us the ability to potentially pull down another $6 billion, invest in our transit system, and really make us competitive across the country with a local source and a local match to take and essentially take advantage of the federal funding that will be available. And this is, not just the current period of time, but over the next 30 years. This gives us the ability to really take advantage of that funding opportunity. The last thing I wanted to say about this slide, and many of us on staff have been able to spend over the last year some deep dives with other cities across the country that have taken this approach. We've talked with the city of Phoenix, we've talked with the city of Nashville, Columbus, all three of which had successful sales tax referendums just this past fall. They have all taken this approach. So this notion that the way we invest in transportation is multimodal. Just like us, they have all the same needs. They need transit service and extension, but they also have the same kind of roadway needs that we have, and their transit funding and strategy reflects that. And I think we're excited to say they were all successful. That this past fall, all three of them were successful. We talked about why and how they were successful, and the first thing they told us was this approach, that this resonated with the community. It reflects the needs that they have and was really the right way for their needs to move forward with funding. So it gives us a path forward and certainly some lessons to learn as we move forward with this effort. Let's talk a little bit now and focus in on the road piece, which again, it's important to think about the scale. I've sort of highlighted a couple numbers here. This is a large, significant amount of funding over a 30-year period. As I know council knows, we've talked with our city council over the last couple of years. We're working to really define certainly the needs that we have and our approach and our strategy for investing in those needs. Those needs are immense and go beyond our current funding strategy and our current funding ability. And this investment gives us the ability to take a big step in dealing with those needs. And certainly, again, at different scales, the towns have the same needs at their own, in their own context. If you look at their plans, they're just like our plans. They're just at a different scale. We all have the same safety concerns. We all have the same concerns about congestion and pedestrian safety and convenience. So these plans are the same. We all just need the right amount of money to invest in them. Emphasize again, those dollars through this sales tax would go directly to the towns, directly to the city to invest in their own way with their own priorities. It's also a commitment the city has made to extend that investment in the ETJ and the county to address some of the existing needs that are out there on that roadway system. It's an annual revenue. What you see here is year one. The total there is $7 billion over 30 years. Year one continues to grow with the growth of the sales tax. And that's an annual revenue that every city, every town can, and gives us also a way to partner. So these are dollars that we can think about across, and gives us also a way to partner. So these are dollars that we can think about across the county, across jurisdictions to partner on projects, work with NCDOT to partner on other big projects. This is a way for us all to sort of take responsibility and accountability for our own needs, but partner in a way that helps lift the region from a transportation standpoint. You can't have a mobility discussion in the county in this region and a funding conversation without talking about the red line. So it's important to remind ourselves about both the history and where we've gotten over the past year. It has always been a commitment It has always been on and part of the 2030 transit plan. There's never been a doubt or a debate about that. The issue has always been access and getting either through full control of that corridor, the NS corridor, or access to it to run the service, the commuter rail service that has always been envisioned. As again, we all know, this year has been a huge breakthrough, 20 years in the making. We are thankful for the partnership of Norfolk Southern, their ability now to be this past year in a position where they were ready and open to having detailed conversations about the transfer of that corridor. The city spent over a year worth of detailed negotiations to make that happen. City council supported that purchase back in September. Those detailed conversations were important to certainly protect the city's interests in the short term, but protect the interests and the ability in the long term for the current CATS or the future transit authority to utilize that corridor in a way that's consistent with the plan. Certainly, the sort of one of the final points to put on that, and it's important to think about this from a multi-county perspective. Everything we've done, that purchase and access that we've got to that corridor is set up to expand and extend into Iredell County and to Mooresville. Very important. That's only upon their determination and their decision. We've made sure that that's possible. It's ultimately their decision to do that in the right time and the right way. So it's really clear that we see that as an important partnership, but certainly the leadership and their decision is all of theirs in partnership with us. Finally, let's talk about what's really the next few steps from a transit perspective and what's happening again in the next 6 months that will really be fundamental to the public conversation around transit and this opportunity of funding. So the MTC has already started the process to update the transit plan to reflect the funding strategy that I just described. Another thing that's really important to pause on here is this will be the first time in over 20 years that this planning process from a transit standpoint will be done in the context of a financial opportunity, potentially a financial constraint, but real dollars at the table and a real conversation about what we can build. So this gives us the ability to have a frank and transparent conversation with the community about what our priorities are, what our vision is for transit, but then commit to how we would actually do that. Having money on the table is really an important part of the public conversation. We cannot continue to just simply think about our plans in absence of a way to fund them. And so this process that MTC and the CATS has set up will allow us to do that. The decision is MTC's. That includes essentially representation, elected representation across the county, the towns, the city, and the county that gives us both a public way through a public conversation and ultimately a decision that the MTC will make about that plan. There will be certainly hard decisions, right? The financial constraint and the structure of that funding strategy is real, and it will require detailed analysis that's already underway with the MTC, public conversation, and ultimately a decision by the MTC about what that plan looks like. That sets the stage for ultimately a broader conversation. As we all know, the hope and the intent that we would have the ability to let the public decide on this later this year with a true transit plan, a real transparent and honest way in which we can implement that plan with the right funding, a real sense of what we could do with the other dollars for our towns and our city around road transportation, weaving those things together and talking about the community about that funding, their support, the public support for that funding strategy, and essentially a vision for our mobility investment over the next 30 years. Our intent, our hope is that we can continue that conversation in the next several months and through this year to conclude in November with the hope of having the public weigh in on and essentially make that decision for themselves. With that, I will stop. I think it's time to put it back to the mayor and open up for discussion.
Thank you very much, Ed. I think Ed knows this by heart. He could do this in his sleep. But we, as a community and as the elected officials here, We really are at a point in our agenda that we want to hear from you, what you have heard and what you see as opportunities for us. So I'd really like to start with our Senate leaders and members, and then go back to our House leaders, and we would be glad to address any question that you have to be able to think about what we've been discussing, and I think especially as we're talking about the red line. So I'm going to open this up to Senator Sawyer and Senator Dial. There we are, we're back in the back. Would you like to begin with us?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Andrew.
I always like a little bit of time to process, but let's just, I guess, logistically, from looking at the request here, you're mentioning the draft legislation and advancing that. In the Senate, with our rules, we do have a limitation on when bills can be requested and then ultimately introduced. So I'm wondering, what is the state of the draft legislation? Kind of what is that timeline, just more logistically? I've certainly seen things floating around, but I'm not sure of the current status, and just making sure we can be on top of meeting. I think it's February 17th. We have to submit our request, so that's going to come up rather quickly.
Oh, no, I'd love for the senator to take this.
Thank you.
I think you
Thank
got
you.
a little bit more of a leadership in this one.
Thank you. It's always a joyful day to come down to the city of Charlotte and be put on the hot seat. So, yeah, thank you for that question. And we have been working through the draft legislation. Nothing is really different than what the media has reported. I don't know that there's anything changed. The one thing that will never change is bill drafting and their ability to get it out quickly. And so I can tell you that the draft had been submitted a while ago, and we are awaiting their response. But I have not seen anything come back from them.
Any other questions or comments? Ideas that you think that we should incorporate or that we should not incorporate? Anyone? All right. It is an open question, and I have Ms. Budd here, who's raised her hand. I'm sorry, Ms. Budd.
Thank you. The green is on. Green is on. I thought so, but it was just on, so I thought it would be positive. I had a question with respect to our airport. So as one of the largest growing cities in the nation, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg metropolitan region, as I refer to it now, does not have a line from the airport into Uptown, which is critical for growth as the economic powerhouse in the state. And by that, I don't just mean the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. I'm talking about the adjacent counties around us and the growth that they are seeing. Where are discussions with respect to that aspect when we talk about mobility?
All right, we're going to ask our airport director to address that.
Who luckily happens to be sitting beside of our CATS director.
I'm so glad that I timed that while both y'all were here.
So Haley and I have worked together for a long time, and we always appreciate our collaboration and partnership. I can assure you, as we look at the Silver Line, we at CATS, as well as at the airport, are focused on creating a connection, fast, reliable service from Uptown Charlotte, the rest of the region, into the airport, so that not only can airport employees have good connections as well as passengers, but that is something we're focused on and have been focused on.
And from the airport perspective, I can tell you that we're very enthusiastic about the opportunity to have the Silver Line. We think it will be great for our employee base. We think eventually it could see some ridership from certain types of passengers, depending on where they're coming from. But it's definitely an asset that we look forward to having one day.
All right. Any further comment on that? Okay. Other questions or comments? Did I hear someone?
Yeah, had a question for the following up on the airport piece. The MCC meets in February, I believe, to kind of the things that they go over alternative plans, correct? And just out of curiosity, is there any consideration for rethinking what the Silver Line to the airport looks like. Boston, for example, has a Silver Line, funny enough, from its airport, but it's it's not so much bus rapid transit, but it's buses that operate on a pretty higher frequency. They're segmented buses, so they have a higher capacity, and they also operate for free from the airport to downtown, not free from downtown to wherever else they're going, but just as an alternative for, I know there were concerns about taking rail all the way to the airport and that it was going to have to stop about a mile or so away. Maybe there's a way to kind of thread the needle to get connections all the way to the terminal itself, back to wherever people need to get to.
For many years, the airport has had a plan in place, and the parking lots have even been designed around the effort to have electric transportation of some kind. And I say of some kind because depending on when the year is that this occurs, that is to be determined. However, I can tell you that the airport is encroaching on Wilkinson Boulevard, and it will continue to move closer to I-85. So we are planning for the future of the airport by locating the Silver Line where it is now. Brent can speak to exact alignment or any further details about that, but that's the airport's position for many years, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah, when we think about the Silver Line and the MTC meetings, when we think about all of the rapid transit corridors, which the Silver Line serves two of those, Southeastern and the Western Corridor, we'll be meeting with the MTC on January 22nd is our next meeting. We'll be talking to them. We've spent the last 2 or 3 months working through our financial model. And now that we've updated the financial model, we'll really be talking to them about options and alternatives for how to serve the corridors, the Silver Line Western Corridor to the airport, as well as the Silver Line Eastern Corridor. But all of that's going to be in context of financial feasibility, right? We need to bring forward options and alternatives, both to the MTC and to the community, that meet their needs, but also can be built, that are financially feasible to build. And the start of that conversation with the MTC and then ultimately with the public is January 22nd. That will be a multi-month process as we go through understanding, working with the MTC to understand those alternatives and with the community, and then ultimately asking the MTC to support an updated transit system plan.
All right. Mr. Majid.
Okay. I have a question. I was noticing on this mobility update on the red line, between the Charlotte Gateway Station and DeRuyter. DeRuyter is the first stop. But in between that, that's a long distance. And I noticed the distance going on up to northern Mecklenburg County. Is there a reason? Why isn't there a stop in between Charlotte and the DeRuyter station? That's a very long segment.
I know I've gotten a lot of emails about that segment not being appropriate, so I'm sure that Brent has probably had the same opportunity.
Or is that in the budget for future situation?
I think it is something that we're beginning on this plan, and we are hearing from our residents, our neighborhoods, and talking through this. So, but I don't think that we have any specific on that one.
Yeah, so CATS has heard that as well. So a couple points to make about the map that you see. So in transit speak, we have what's called a locally preferred alternative. That LPA is approved. So the LPA, the map that you see that we put up on the screen today, is the currently approved LPA. That LPA can be modified by the MTC, and that is the point of having these public conversations, so that as we understand community desires and we start to look at actual station placement, we can bring forward alternatives to the MTC. I would anticipate that we will have a conversation with the MTC about stations or about that segment of the red line there in the northern part of Charlotte or kind of closest to uptown. But that is a process that we need to engage in the MTC as we hear the comments that we are receiving currently.
Okay. I also want to be very conscious that we said that we would talk about this for about an hour. Been giving you every opportunity. I expect that you have other things to do as well as mull over what we're trying to accomplish. So, but I want to go ahead and ask the members of the House if they had any questions specific to this discussion.
Madam Mayor, I did have one more question over here.
Yes.
Mr. McKinney had mentioned that there were several other cities that we were looking at that had a multimodal plan similar to ours. Notwithstanding the total spend, was the spending like broken down in a similar way that we are, say 40% roads, 40% rail, 20% bus, or were they thought of in their own unique ways? And how did that work out for them, I guess, is the final question, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, again, the cities that I referenced that we've done some, deeper conversations with were Phoenix, Nashville, Columbus. They've all done it different ways, and certainly I don't want to answer that in detail. Certainly can provide some, we'll put together a little package that sort of describes some of the more details of that. All of them were multimodal. They again, kind of divided it in their own ways. Some of them were more focused. Nashville, for example, was a completely bus investment with roads. Phoenix was a mix of those. Columbus was a bus investment with road as part of it. The success, I'll just reiterate, I think your question at the end, the lesson we've learned, and again, their success this past November was about a conversation that puts it all together, unique to each city, right? What I think we've tried to do here is put together the right strategy for Charlotte. All of those cities, though, have done it in a way that's similar in terms of looking across the modes to think about how you would invest. All of them are sales tax. All of them went to a public referendum. And again, one of the key messages they told us was that multimodal strategy was one of the most important parts of their success. I'm certainly glad to, we could probably put together a little bit of a one page on that and provide a little bit more detail.
All right. Thank you. Yes.
Go ahead. Did you have a question? I guess in the beginning, even when we talked about the number of funds that we'll need for the entire project and had appreciation for the size, I think relative to other projects, are there any more kind of cost-cutting or cost control measures that we're introducing, or maybe even best practices from previous transit jobs, or even sort of best practices we learned from other projects around the nation in terms of cost control measures?
I'm not sure if the manager wants to address that or Brent, because I know that we've had many people come in and provide for us. How did they do it? And it's been all the way up on the East Coast. We've also gone through Washington, D.C. and places like that. So we are including that. But I'm not so sure that we have anything specific today. It may be that we can give you some information about places that we have looked at and talked about how they have operated and how they were able to complete some of them. Phoenix was really pretty successful. But I think we went, Mr. Mitchell, did we go to see Phoenix like 20 years ago? 20 years ago? So you can see how some of this works. It does take a long time. It is something that we really have to invest in. But we can give you more information. Senator?
Thank you. If you'll just allow me to do a little bit of a housekeeping moment, I want to thank the woman in front of me, Representative Becky Carney, and the other woman in front of me, Representative Tricia Cotham, for stepping up to be the two leaders on this in the House and for the Mecklenburg County delegation. So as we move forward, I'll really be leaning on both of you to help me through this. And so for those other of you, that will be our line of communication as
our city council. I believe in the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance had reached out to the General Assembly about the Pretrial Integrity Act. Mecklenburg County is one of the few counties that actually wanted it, about holding criminal defendants for additional 48 hours if they pick up new charges. So I was wondering about the status of the success of that, if anybody knew about it, and I'm happy to connect with Dana or someone else just to take a look back about the successes of it and what else supports the city could use. Thank you.
Senator, I'd be glad to get that information to you. Unfortunately, our chief of police could not be here today. He was attending a funeral for an officer who had passed away, unfortunately. So I apologize for that, but I'll be glad to get you that information.
And we'll be glad to send that out to everyone so that you all have the same information as we address the responses that you've requested today. Yes.
I just want to reiterate what Senator Sawyer said about moving forward with legislation and that they already have bills and drafting. So all of us can contribute, and we have a committee that's already in place working with the business community here for that to take place. And was already mentioned that Representative Carney and Representative Cotham are already working. They've been working previously with legislation and with bills to move forward in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Budd.
Yes, I had a question, and it may be included in the materials that you're going to provide with respect to public safety, as I also had a question, and that was with respect to the city's efforts in youth and young adults, and where are the violence intervention programs, and how can we, as your legislative delegation, how can we help with those? Not just with respect to the city of Charlotte, but as a whole, as we know it's spread.
Thank you very much. That's
Thank
a
you.
great question. Really appreciate that. We'll get that information, as we said, from a lot of our colleagues will be working with us this evening, and we can produce that information as well. I know that it is now 10 after 10, and we said that we would end at 10. So I want to know if one. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the clock, and it's 1 after, and I can barely see it. I don't have my glasses on. So it is now 10 after 1, whatever. And so I want to say to you that we greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the phone calls to say, would you please come, because we believe this is important to our future. And I just want to say to all of you how much we appreciate your ability to help us work through the kind of issues that we believe are important to our city to be able to be as successful and continue to grow like we can, and to continue to have people that can thrive in this community, so that we can have people that go to work every day and have the opportunity to live with their families and housing. Every one of those initiatives are very important, and thank you very much for standing with us on them. So with that, I think we will have a motion to adjourn.
I move for adjournment at this time.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you all very much for being here.
And the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man. the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together, we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
I can't find the sword.
These guys are talking dinner here.
The sword's gone, Cringer. I can't become He-Man without it.
Watch it. This is my only suit.
We've got to warn the others.
Battle Cat, where are you when I need you?
In here. This'll slow down those slime monsters.
Who needs He-Man? They're still coming.
There's no way out. There's no way out. There's no...
No, you must go back. You banished Dark Dream.
As you can see, I'm back. How did you escape the Chamber of Darkness? I sealed it myself. You will soon know. You're under arrest. I'm no longer your prisoner.
What a horrible dream that was.
It was just a dream. Oh. Wake up, Cringer. Cringer, you're having a nightmare.
Point me at those slime monsters.
Slime monsters? Hey, I was having the same dream.
There haven't been any slime monsters on Eternia
since Dark Dream was sealed in his chamber. Come on, Cringer. Dark Dream's coming back.
We know.
He gave all of us nightmares.
Not only is Dark Dream returning, but his powers are stronger than ever.
I hope they enjoyed their little nightmares. Now they will know I'm returning. And it is up to you to put Eternia into total darkness so I can leave these chambers.
Why have you called me here? I haven't the power to darken the Eternian sun.
Evelyn is right, my lord. It is an impossible task.
Impossible? Well, do it anyway. You know I can only live in darkness.
But my powers no longer work well on Eternia. They are too weak.
The sorceress saw to that.
And what about you, Evelyn?
It would take more power than mine alone.
There must be a way. Find it. Or that wand which gives you so much power will be returned to the black pools from which it came. How could Dark Dream's powers have escaped?
Well, the seal on the chamber must have been broken.
Would have taken a large explosion or a land disturbance.
I had a rough night. It's about time you woke up.
Well, I can't get any sleep around here, what with all the explosions.
Explosions?
Where, Orko?
In the Crimson Valley. They've been keeping me awake for days.
But that's so far from here.
Orko can hear a pin drop in the Tanglewood Forest.
They've been setting off some big blasts out there.
Could those explosions have broken the seal to Dark Dream's chambers?
Well, the seal is here.
And the Crimson Valley is here. They're awfully close.
That's solid granite. They must be using nodroxin.
Nodroxin? It's the most powerful explosive on Eternia. Tila, you and Adam fly out and take a look at the seal. We have to know if it's been broken. Piece of priceless evil have you conjured up?
There will be an eclipse of their sun.
Tavor's powers may not work on Eternia, but the moon is another planet.
Can you move the moon, Tavor?
Yes, with Evelyn's help.
The last time you cast a spell, Tavor, the Banshee jungle turned into a desert.
Oh, everybody makes mistakes.
How long will this eclipse last?
As long as I wish it to.
Eternia will be lost in eternal darkness. You will be free to go wherever you choose, even to Castle Grayskull.
Then do it, Tavor. Do it.
Faster?
I'm afraid I'm not quite the pilot you are.
Adam! Adam, something's happening! Adam, help me! The drain's coming back!
Tila, fight it! Don't fall asleep!
Help me! Please! It's Dark Dream!
Dark Dream has overtaken Tila's mind again. She can't fly her sky sled. Wake up, Tila, wake up! I've got to save her. Tila, wake up! You're gonna crash! This calls for He-Man. There's no time to lose. By the power of Grayskull!
Made it. She's too high. I won't be able to stop her.
Got it. Tila, wake up.
What happened? I was on my sky sled and...
Yeah, you were dreaming. But you're safe. That's all that matters.
But how did I land?
No, I helped you.
You?
Yeah, come on, let's check that seal.
The explosions have broken the seal. This crack allowed Darkdream to use his powers. They've started the blasting again.
They're gonna break the seal open completely. We've got to stop them.
Bring on the eclipse, Tavor. I must leave here.
Moon, moon, hear my cry. When I clap my hands, move through the sky.
The seal on Darkdream's chamber's been broken.
We'll have to reseal it immediately before he escapes.
We've got to hurry. Once our sun has set, Darkdream becomes stronger.
Hey, what's going on?
We're floating.
Orko?
Hey, I didn't do it. I don't think I...
What's causing it?
How do you like it?
I don't.
Wow, this is something.
Something strange, all right.
No!
You need flying lessons, pal.
I can't lift my legs. Our gravity is getting stronger. It's pulling us down.
This is creepy.
It's getting dark.
And it's the middle of the afternoon.
Father, we're having an eclipse of the sun.
We aren't due for an eclipse for 2 years. Our moon must be out of its orbit.
Oh, that explains the gravity problems.
But who would tamper with nature?
Darkdream.
Finally, I have escaped. Now for the secrets of Grayskull, so I can keep Eternia in darkness forever.
Duncan, look at the moon. It's getting larger.
The moon is heading for our planet.
It can't be true.
The moon is going to collide with Eternia. Even Darkdream doesn't have enough power to stop this from happening.
But we must stop this some way.
The only place we can turn to is...
Grayskull. Let's go.
Something evil has disturbed nature.
But you can save Eternia.
Not until I know what evil force was used against our moon. I must find the answer.
I can't let her go alone.
Soon I'll be inside Grayskull. What's that?
A falcon.
It's going to attack.
I'll stop it.
Not so fast, evil Lynn.
My powers are weakening this close to Grayskull. I must have my wand.
Leatherbacks, capture that falcon.
Let's see if you can fly with a little more weight.
No, stop.
Look!
It's Darkdream.
Come on!
Sorceress, I've come to rule Grayskull. Not so fast, Darkdream. Well, if it isn't my old friend Man-at-Arms. What do you think of my eclipse? Look, you moved the moon out of its orbit, now it's heading right for us, you included. What? I asked for an eclipse, not a collision.
I guess that I made a small error.
Small? Eternia is finally mine and you're about to wipe it out of the universe? Stop it!
I can't. I don't have that much power.
Try! Where's the sorceress? Maybe she can help.
She's been captured. Look.
We'll have to get Dark Dream to release her.
And give away the secret of Zoar the Falcon? Well, we've sworn never to reveal it.
Man-at-Arms, Adam is right. You must not reveal the secret.
But Eternia will be destroyed.
You must find another way to save us.
I cannot stop it, Dark Dream.
The moon's getting closer.
The sorceress said another way. How can we possibly move the moon back into its orbit?
The Nodroxin. If it's exploded in the atmosphere...
Yes, it might work, but you wouldn't be able to get it close enough to the moon.
Well, I wouldn't, but He-Man would.
My power! It is gone!
Fool! There must be a way to escape.
There is. For me. Farewell, Dark Dream.
Cowardly witch. The Wind Raider. I can escape in that.
Oh, no, you don't.
Stop, Tila. Sleep. Tila, why you... Your turn, Man-at-Arms. Run, now.
They're getting away.
Never mind. We've got the Wind Raider. Come on. You're not going anywhere, Dark Dream. You destroyed it!
By the power of Grayskull!
Here it comes again. I am strong enough to overpower even you, He-Man.
Dream on, Dark Dream.
Sorceress, hear me. There must be something you can do.
I hear you, Man-at-Arms. I can do nothing to save Eternia while I'm in this body.
And our fate is in the hands of He-Man. Oh, hurry, He-Man, hurry.
Faster, Battle Cat.
We're almost to the mountaintop.
Let's see. That one will be perfect. Be careful, Tila. There's enough Nodroxin in that urn to blow this entire planet to bits.
It's all yours.
Who could have done that? Only one person. Our last hope, He-Man. No, not the sun. I can't stand the sun. Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. Go out and enjoy it.
Hey, let's go on a picnic. I'll bring the food. And... Oh, no! I knew things were going too well.
Orko.
You didn't think I'd leave you like that, did you?
Orko, get back here. Orko!
In today's story, I had a bad dream. You know, bad dreams or nightmares happen to everyone, and they can seem pretty real. but they aren't. They're no more real than any make-believe story or fairy tale. So don't be ashamed or afraid of telling anybody about your dream. It happens to all of us. And like so many other things, talking it over with your mother or your father or maybe even a good friend can make you feel a whole lot better. Bye for now and pleasant dreams.
And the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Wonderful. Look here.
In a moment, Professor. I'm ready to test my converter. If this works, we'll have a meal converted from sand and chemicals. Looks terrible, but it tastes good, and it's filled with healthy protein.
Oh, congratulations. Now, come and see what I have found. By chance, I happen to notice a loose brick. You may have the honor of opening it, Duncan.
Why, it's a book.
A book that has been lost for centuries. This is Professor Smolin speaking. Tila, can you hear me? I believe we have uncovered the Book of Ancient Eternia.
That's wonderful!
It is written in the ancient language. We must translate it. Can you interface the Lango computer to the radio?
I'm one step ahead of you, Professor. It's all set.
Oh, smart girl, that one.
Of course, she takes after me.
All right, here we go. Page 1. Zactons, 1,000-year-old robots.
What's that?
Why, we're surrounded by antiques.
Maybe so, Professor, but I think they mean business.
Professor, what were those noises? Sir, come in. We're ready to begin translating. Come in, please. Are you all right? Father, are you there?
I think you are right. Hey, Orko. Tila was supposed to give me another navigating lesson. Have you seen her?
She went up to the radio room. But look at my new trick first.
Orko, that's a winner.
Here, Cringer, have an apple.
Oh, hey, that apple was green. Yuck.
Next time you'll know better. Let's go.
Professor, please come in. Father, will somebody please answer? Something's terribly wrong, I know it.
Perhaps it's just interference.